Hey there, my name is Gavin, and in today's video of Freestyle Fundamentals, we're going to be learning how to ceiling musty flick. Now, the ceiling musty flick is a really useful competitive shot, but it also has a lot of applications when it comes to freestyling. Using the ceiling musty flick, we can set it for shots like the Psycho, and the biggest one I think that's really common is musty double taps, which is like doing something like that and then getting a double tap, maybe even a corner read double tap. But being able to ceiling musty will improve the amount of power and creativity in the shots you have, and it's overall just a really useful tech to have in your back pocket. The two prerequisites that I would say for doing this shot are first being able to ceiling shot in general. If you can get to the point where you can get back to the ball like this and just being able to ceiling shot from the ceiling, you'll be in really good hands to start learning how to musty flick and ceiling musty flick properly. Just like that. If you can do that, you're at a good place right now for this video. The other thing that's really important is knowing how to musty flick. As you can see here, it's kind of useful being able to musty flick off the ground just so you know how the musty flick works and kind of how the ball reacts to your car doing the musty flick. So what I would recommend is just practicing ground musty flicks for a little bit, really understand how they work, how your car interacts with the ball, how you can get more and less power, things like that. Sweet, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is looking at the pop-up for this shot. We're going to be popping up the ball just like that, getting as close to the ceiling as possible and making sure to come from a diagonal angle. You don't want to be doing the shot straight on. You know, straight on shots, I would say, like this, are more reserved for heli stalls, maybe musty pops, other things like that. There's a lot of tech that you can do using those kind of setups, but I promise for this shot, you're going to have a much better time coming at about a 45-degree angle to the wall like this. Ideally, don't even think about the angle, just think about sending the ball towards the opposing net. So once you have that pop-up down, the next thing that we're going to be doing is flying up to the ceiling. We want to get to the point where, again, we can just fly up to the ceiling like this and get back to the ball. Okay, that's really, really important that you have that extraordinarily consistent before even worrying about ceiling musty flicks. You want to be able to get back to the ball probably 90% of the time, I would say. Once we have this down, the next thing that we're going to be doing is getting a touch on the ball like this. You kind of want to get to the point where you can air dribble from a ceiling shot. And what I mean by this is popping at the ball, getting to the ceiling, and then air dribbling the ball like that. You want to get to the point you can do that because it makes it a lot easier to set up the musty flick next. As you can see, way easier to set up a musty flick. So let's look at what we're doing when we're setting up this musty flick. Really, there's kind of three steps that are going on. We pop up the ball, we get our ceiling reset, and we touch the ball, lean back, musty flick, just like that. As you can see, I'm controlling the speed of the ball by getting a touch on it from my kind of pseudo air dribble coming off the ceiling. So off of the ceiling right here, touching the ball, and I'm immediately lined up for a Psycho right there. Beautiful, super pretty. So as we can see, we can get a really consistent lineup by simply touching the bottom of the ball once as we're in the air and then going for the musty flick right after that. And finally, it's just bringing it all together. All we're doing, going to the ceiling, as soon as I touch the ball, I lean back. There's no delay between that. You want to get to the point where you're flying up to the ceiling, you touch the ball, and you lean back just like that. That'll make it so your musty flicks are hyper consistent. You know, there's other ways to do ceiling musty flicks. You can kind of freehand it like this, where I'm just going up to the ball like that, which is pretty consistent, you know, it does its job, but it doesn't give you the same power that you usually want out of your musty flicks. Let's say you're working up to the point where you're doing Psychos, you really want to make sure you have a very consistent touch on the ball every single time, and doing it off the ceiling like this, where you're just flying back to the ball and backflipping into it, can really work for musty doubles, but as you get to more advanced tech, you're going to have a much harder time trying to have consistency. So let's look at this one more time. Off the ceiling, touch, backflip like that. That was kind of sloppy. Let me do that one more time. Ceiling, touch, musty, Psycho, something like that. Biggest thing is, if you're hitting the back of your car on the ball, that means you're too close. And if the ball is going straight down, that means you're too far away. If you figure out those two cues, you will be absolutely set for landing your ceiling musty flicks. There's really not too much else to the tech. It's kind of a simple tech overall compared to a lot of the other things in this game, but I feel like learning it initially is kind of tricky. Some drills you can do to help practice learning this is simply just working on pop-ups and working on air dribbling the ball after our initial pop-up and our initial ceiling shot. If we get to the point where we can go up, get back to the ball and consistently air dribble, your musty flicks will be so much more consistent than anything else, and you can pull it off in game pretty consistently. The shot takes a little bit of time to learn, but I promise it'll help you have the fundamentals you need to do more advanced tech, such as the psycho or musty double taps or really anything like that. The last part I want to talk about is delaying our musty flick. Sometimes when we're doing musty flicks, we want to do this thing called a musty flick delay, which instead of just flipping like this and going the full way through, which, you know, works fine for our musty flicks, gives us a lot of power, what we can do is instead backflip, cancel, and then let it go. So what we're doing is the second we backflip, we flick up on our joystick and letting it go. So let's look at this one more time. Backflip, cancel, let go. Backflip, cancel, let go. And this makes it so we can have a slightly different kind of musty flick. And what I mean by this is there's a very, very big difference between doing something like this, where we're just backflipping into the ball, you know, that's something right there, versus making sure to delay our musty flick a little bit in order to get a slightly different kind of musty flick. So if I delay it a little bit, as you can see, look at the power difference between those two shots. It's almost an entirely different shot, and I don't see this talked about nearly enough, especially in competitive play. This can be a really big advantage to having another tool in your bag in order to have a kind of different shot. So as you can see, I'm delaying there and just going for a double compared to just backflipping into it. It allows you to have a lot more control in your musty flicks. This will take a lot of time to learn, and I don't expect you guys to learn this straight off of this video. I'll probably make a whole nother video on why delayed flicks are kind of overpowered and like a really useful tool to have. But just keep in mind right now that it's really important that we have a way to get under the ball and backflip under it just like that into our double tap. Or whatever we're doing. We're not even doing double taps right now. We're just ceiling mustying. So let's look at this one more time. Up to the ceiling. Getting our touch. Backflipping. And that's all there is to it. There's literally nothing else to our ceiling musty flick. I promise all of you guys will have that down. But if you have any questions, I'll be in the comments if you need any help on anything. But I'm sure you guys will all have it down after this video. Hopefully my bindings are showing on screen, so you guys will be able to look along there. And yeah, if you guys have any other tech you want to learn, I'm making a lot more videos in the series soon. I've just gotten kind of busy with other video concepts and, you know, just kind of trying to stay motivated, you know what I mean? I guess motivated is not the right word. Focused. I'm trying to stay focused. Too many projects at once. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll have a video on psychos soon. Hopefully, I've been wanting to figure out how to teach psychos for a while now because they're very, very difficult. But as I'm getting better at them, I am closer and closer to being able to make a tutorial on how to do them. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.